There's a moment one that doesn't come with fireworks or choirs of angels, but with a sudden, eerie clarity where you look around your life and silently whisper, "This isn't all there is." You've had it, haven't you? That strange, haunting sensation that you are not merely a human being, not just a body surviving day to day in a world of bills, deadlines, and fleeting pleasures. That there's something more to you, deeper, older, more expansive. You've felt yourself observing life from a distance as if you're a visitor in your own story. You've seen the patterns in people's behavior, you've sensed emotions before they're spoken, and you've known things without knowing how you know them. That's not imagination. That's not you being too sensitive. That's the signature of a multidimensional being awakening inside a human form. But what does it mean to be multidimensional? It means you exist across timelines. It means you carry soul memories not just from this life, but from realities your conscious mind can barely comprehend. It means your awareness is not bound by the five senses. You are simultaneously human and divine, grounded and infinite. And the signs of this are all around you, hidden in your emotions, your dreams, your relationships, your struggles. If you've ever felt like you were too much for this world, or like the world was too small for you, you're about to understand why. The first sign is that you've never truly fit in, no matter how hard you tried. You could be in a room full of people laughing, celebrating, appearing completely at ease, and yet, deep inside, you feel like an outsider. It's not that you're antisocial. It's not that you're broken. It's that your soul doesn't fully belong to this density. You're tuned to a different frequency. You see through surface-level conversations. You crave depth, truth, authenticity. And when others are content staying asleep, you feel an almost painful hunger to wake up to remember something ancient that's been buried under layers of programming. Fitting in was never your path. You're not here to blend in. You're here to bridge dimensions. The second sign is your heightened sensitivity, not just emotionally, but energetically. You walk into a room and instantly feel the energy. You know when someone's lying, even if their words are perfect. You sense when someone's hurting, even when they smile. You absorb emotions, sometimes too much, to the point of overwhelm. But this isn't a flaw. It's a gift. You're not weak. You're tuned in. You are an antenna for frequencies others can't perceive. And the reason it feels overwhelming sometimes is because you haven't been taught how to manage this multidimensional awareness. You were taught to numb it, suppress it, ignore it. But the truth is, your sensitivity is how your soul communicates with you in a dense world. The third sign is that you have spontaneous moments of remembering. You'll be doing something ordinary, washing dishes, walking through nature, looking at the stars, and suddenly you'll feel like you're remembering something you never learned. A feeling, a vision, a knowing. You might get flashes of other lifetimes or feel an emotional connection to ancient cultures or civilizations you've never studied. You may have an obsession with Atlantis, Lemuria, Egypt, the stars. That's not random. That's your multidimensional memory bleeding through the veil. You've lived before. You've seen this planet rise and fall in frequency. And those memories are not past, they're parallel. You're not remembering history. You're remembering yourself across dimensions. The fourth sign is that time doesn't feel linear to you. You've had dreams that felt more real than waking life. You've had déjà vu so strong it shook you. You've predicted things before they happened. You felt connected to people you just met, as if you've known them forever. These are not coincidences. You're experiencing time through a multidimensional lens. The past, present, and future are not separate, they're layered. And your soul can navigate those layers. Sometimes you dream of the future. Sometimes you remember a life you haven't lived yet. And sometimes you meet someone and instantly feel the weight of 10,000 lifetimes shared. That's not fantasy. That's soul recognition. The fifth sign is that you've undergone intense spiritual awakenings, often triggered by pain, loss, or sudden shifts. These weren't just emotional breakdowns. They were dimensional upgrades. You lost old identities. You saw through illusions. You started questioning everything you were taught. That's because your soul was initiating you into higher awareness. Multidimensional beings often incarnate with a wake-up trigger A moment where the ordinary world cracks open and a flood of cosmic memory rushes in. It can be terrifying. You might feel like you're losing your mind. But in truth, you're shedding the mind's limitations and expanding into soul consciousness. The sixth sign is that you're drawn to the mystical, the esoteric, the unseen. Even before you could explain why, you were fascinated by energy, metaphysics, astrology, channeling, ancient wisdom, sacred geometry, or the idea of other realms. You weren't taught to believe in this, you remembered it. You've always known there's more than meets the eye. You've always felt that reality is a layered illusion, and your mission is to go deeper, to unveil the truth hidden behind appearances. This curiosity isn't intellectual, it's soul deep. It's your multi-dimensional self nudging you to explore beyond the physical and reclaim what you already know. And the seventh sign is perhaps the most powerful. You feel a calling. You may not know what it is exactly. You may not have the words for it, but you feel it like a silent pulse beneath everything you do. A knowing that you're here for something big, not for fame. Not for ego, but for impact, for awakening. You've felt the weight of collective pain in your heart. You've cried for the earth without knowing why. You've looked at a stranger and felt their entire life story. That's your soul's mission activating. Because multidimensional beings don't just come here to experience, they come here to shift reality, to anchor higher frequencies into the grid, to be living portals for remembrance.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
So now I ask you, which of these signs are already alive in you? And if you are, in fact, a multidimensional being in human form, what would change if you stopped pretending to be small? Because the truth is, your power was never about becoming more. It was about remembering who you already are. If you truly are a multidimensional being in human form, then the next question is not what do I do with that information? It's how do I live from it? Because knowing is one thing, embodying it, that's a different reality altogether. You see, most people awaken to their multidimensional nature and immediately begin searching for answers, looking for books, teachers, systems, and methods to decode what they're experiencing. But the truth is, the answers are not out there. They're encoded within you. You don't need to download new information. You need to unlock what's already been placed inside your soul blueprint. And to do that, you must learn to access the soul matrix, the energetic structure that holds your higher purpose, your soul gifts, your timeless knowing, and your connection to Source itself. The soul matrix is not a place you go. It's a state of being you remember. It's the dimension of consciousness where you stop perceiving yourself as a fragment and begin recognizing yourself as a fractal of the infinite. When you access this matrix, you begin to operate from the level of soul, not personality. You stop reacting and start responding from a place of divine intelligence. You stop trying to figure everything out with your logical mind and start feeling your way through reality with your heart, your intuition, your inner compass. That's when your multidimensional gifts begin activating not as magical powers, but as natural extensions of your soul essence. Another key to unlocking the soul matrix is embodiment. Too many people stay in the realm of theory. They talk about consciousness, energy, awakening, but they don't live it. They don't walk it, and so their frequency stays fragmented. But when you begin aligning your actions with your soul, when your words, choices, and ways of being reflect your inner truth, you become a living transmitter of higher consciousness. Your life becomes the message. Your presence becomes the teaching. You don't have to convince anyone, you radiate the truth, and that resonance does what words cannot. So ask yourself, am I living in alignment with what I know to be true? Because your soul doesn't care what you believe, it cares how you behave. And then there's the sacred practice of connection, not just to Source, but to others. Because one of your multidimensional gifts is the ability to see the divine in everyone. You don't just see people, you feel them. You recognize their essence beneath their ego. And when two awakened souls meet, there's a transmission, a remembering. You exchange light codes, you activate each other. So surround yourself with those who see you. Speak your truth even when your voice shakes. Let yourself be seen not just in your light, but in your rawness. Connection is one of the fastest ways to amplify your frequency. You came here not to go it alone, but to be a node in a vast living network of awakened beings. But here's the paradox. The more awakened you become, the more you'll be called to walk alone. Because the higher you go, the fewer the companions. The more truth you carry, the more illusions you threaten. And the more light you embody, the more shadow you'll trigger in others. That's not a punishment. It's part of your assignment. Because your very being disrupts the matrix. Your frequency challenges the programming, and your presence alone can initiate awakening in those who are ready. So don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't wait for permission. Be who you came to be. So I ask you, if you stopped running from your gifts, how would your life change? If you trusted your soul more than your fear, what would you create? And if you knew without a doubt that your presence alone is a transmission of higher frequency, how would you walk into the world tomorrow? Because that's the truth. You're not waiting for your power. You are the power. And the soul matrix is not something to attain. It's something to remember. When you realize you are a multidimensional being in human form, the veil between reality and illusion doesn't just lift, it dissolves. You begin to see that the world you once believed was solid, fixed, and absolute is actually fluid, responsive, and programmable. Reality is not something happening to you, it is something responding through you. Your thoughts are not just fleeting mental noise. Your emotions are not just private experiences. They are codes, vibrational blueprints that shape the very fabric of the matrix around you. And when you awaken to this truth, you begin to understand that your life is not merely a set of circumstances. It is a mirror reflecting the frequency you hold. The matrix you live in bends to your vibration. The code is not outside you. You are the code. Let that sink in. Every feeling you hold, every belief you carry, every word you speak is a command sent to the quantum field. The universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. You can affirm abundance all day, but if you carry the frequency of lack in your body, that is the signal you're transmitting. You can visualize love, but if you still vibrate with the wounds of rejection and fear, the reality you manifest will echo those frequencies. The matrix doesn't obey your words, it obeys your state of being. And once you grasp this, you stop trying to control reality through effort. You begin to reprogram reality through alignment. But alignment isn't about perfection. It's about coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, actions, and energy field are all speaking the same truth, you enter an energetic state where reality responds with precision. Synchronicities accelerate, obstacles dissolve, people shift, opportunities appear. This isn't magic, it's mechanics. Spiritual mechanics. You're no longer throwing random energy into the field. You're coding the grid with intention. And the more you master this, the more life begins to feel like a lucid dream. Not because it's always easy, but because you know you can shift it from the inside out. Of course, this kind of power comes with responsibility. It demands radical self-awareness. You must become the watcher of your own field. You must track the thoughts that run on autopilot, the emotions you suppress, the stories you keep telling that no longer serve you. You must clean the code. Because every unresolved fear, every unconscious belief is a line of corrupted programming affecting your reality. This is spiritual hygiene. It's not glamorous, but it's necessary. You can't install a new operating system on top of a virus. You must clear the old scripts. That means healing your wounds, facing your shadows, forgiving the past not for moral reasons, but because unhealed pain keeps you vibrating in timelines that no longer reflect your highest truth. And then comes the shift from reaction to creation. Most people live in reaction, responding to what the world throws at them, constantly adjusting their energy based on external conditions. But as a multidimensional being, you're here to reverse that flow. You're not the effect, you're the cause. You don't wait for peace, you generated. You don't wait for love, you radiated. You don't wait for permission, you become the permission. That's how you bend the matrix. You hold the frequency of the reality you desire before it appears, and by doing so, you collapse timelines. You call the future into the now. This is why emotional mastery is so crucial. Not emotional suppression, but integration. You must learn to feel fully without being hijacked by your feelings. You must learn to move through pain without building your identity around it. Because your emotions are powerful coders. When you feel joy, gratitude, awe, you're not just feeling, you're sending electromagnetic instructions to the field. You're sculpting reality with your energy. And when you feel fear, anger, grief, that's not wrong, it's just a message. A signal that the code needs attention. Don't run from it. Decode it. Transmute it. That's the work of a true matrix bender. You don't bypass the dark. You alchemize it. And here's the wild part. The more you live in this way, the more the world around you begins to glitch. People treat you differently. Time moves strangely. Reality becomes fluid. Sometimes it feels like you've stepped outside the simulation. And in many ways you have. You're no longer living in the collective trance. You're walking between worlds. And that can feel lonely at times. It can feel disorienting. But it's also liberating because you know you're not a prisoner of the program. You're a sovereign consciousness hacking the matrix with every breath. So I ask you now, if your vibration is the keyboard and the universe is the computer, what reality are you programming right now? What future are you coding with your frequency, even in this very moment? Because whether you realize it or not, the code is running. The question is, are you the author? Or are you still letting someone else write your script? At the core of every awakening is not just the realization of who you are, but the remembrance of why you came. You didn't just incarnate on Earth to heal, to manifest, to explore. You came here with a mission, a soul assignment, a sacred contract etched into the deepest layers of your being, hidden beneath the noise of this world. And the wildest part, you agreed to forget it all. You agreed to forget your power, your cosmic history, your divine nature, so that remembering it would become your greatest transformation. That's the paradox of this life. The forgetting was never a punishment, it was the setup for your return to origin. Before you were born, you knew this planetary plane was dense. You knew the veil would be thick. You knew pain, confusion, and separation would be part of the game. But you also knew your light couldn't be extinguished. So you chose this. You chose the family, the body, the challenges. Not to suffer, but to awaken through them. You knew that every wound would become an initiation. Every loss would become a portal. Every heartbreak would crack you open just enough for your true self to shine through. And as hard as that may be to believe, look at your life. Look at all the things that should have broken you but didn't. You've died 1,000 times in this life already, and yet here you are, more awake, more aware, more you. The reason you feel like an outsider in this world is because your origin isn't just earthbound. Your soul has danced through stars, through dimensions, through lifetimes beyond counting. You carry codes from other realms. You've been a healer, a warrior, a priestess, a mystic, a scientist of light. And now you're here not to escape Earth, but to bring heaven to it. You are here to anchor a new frequency, to be a bridge between worlds, to remind others of what they've forgotten. That's why your presence matters more than you'll ever know. Not because you're here to be perfect, but because you're here to be true. But here's the thing, the world won't always reflect that truth back to you. That's part of the design. You'll be tested. You'll be misunderstood. You'll be tempted to shrink, to forget again. But in those moments, you must remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Remember what lit your soul before survival dimmed your light. Remember the feeling of freedom that was your birthright. Because every time you remember, you disrupt the matrix. You break a loop. You shift a timeline. You fulfill the very reason you came. So I'll leave you with this. What would change if you lived every moment as if you chose it? What would awaken if you stopped apologizing for your light and started radiating it without restraint? And what would become possible if you finally remembered you are not here to fit in? You are here to wake others up just by being who you are. Welcome home. The mission has already begun.